Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out.
Hey folks, this is Dave. Welcome to Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It All Out. With me, as always, is my good friend
Chris.
And today we have a interesting topic that we want to explore with you. But before that, I want to express some excitement of something going on in my personal life.
Okay.
And I want to tell the listeners about it and you about it as well. We have been making some big investments, and I think that we're about to be financially set. We have poured all of our resources, cashed out all the credit cards into Stanley Cups.
Yes.
This is going to be, we're buying them like way above market, which is fine.
Sure.
Because the market's going to continue to go up.
Going to go
and
up.
It's, I wanted to, just let our listeners know, hey, email us at twomiddleagedguys.com, the numeral 2. I got the email address right, did I? For a second, I hesitated. I was so excited because I was like, all this money that's just about to materialize.
Yeah.
Email us, tell us how many dozen you want, and we'll get the shipment out. We'll work out a price, and we'll get a shipment to you. But this is, I know the NFTs didn't work out.
No.
And then before that, the Beanie Babies,
right.
which I was still doing that well into 2020, which. Oh, I missed the note on that one.
Did you take a bath on the Beanie Babies?
I took a haircut, a bath, all those things. Hang on just one second. My wife is texting me. We are financially ruined. That's what my wife just texted me. She's selling the kids and the pets.
But you're keeping the Stanley Cups.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I'm kidding. That's a little Stanley Cup sketch. A year from now, if anybody listens to this, they're going to like, what the heck is a Stanley Cup?
Yeah.
Like the hockey thing?
Maybe that should have been what you invested in.
Maybe it is, right?
Purchased a Stanley Cup trophies.
I could have. Might be able to get those for less than those ridiculous cups are. Do you have any clue about why this has become such a thing all of a sudden?
It's marketing. That's what it boils down to.
Is it?
So the guy that is in charge of Stanley Cup, or Stanley marketing, but then, by virtue of the cups, is the same guy that made Crocs a hot thing. So
what?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the guy that did the marketing for Crocs, he, left the company and was picked up by Stanley. And then you have the Stanley Cup fiasco. So he is just a master of FOMO marketing. And he's put out the standard product. He's gotten people to buy that. And then he started doing all these partnerships with Starbucks and Target and, all these exclusive whatever vendors to get branded Stanley Cups in different colors and all these different things. But, there's only so many pink ones, so you better get the pink ones now. So all that, it's just kind of hitting that same part of the brain that slot machines hit or that, gambling hits.
Yeah, the dopamine and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my opinion is that's what it boils down
So
to.
I should start gambling is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Probably a better investment.
That was the lesson that you took.
Well, this went off the rails.
Well,
I was making a little joke, and now
listen, people are into this podcast. That's what they expect.
Let's toss the topic we had aside,
and just do Stanley Cups.
And let's just get right into Stanley
Nice.
Cups. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm, happy to be back at it. Despite your statement that you're not excited, you're just interested in this topic. I'm super excited for this.
I guess I am. I was more excited about the Stanley Cups.
I understand. Financial wealth is something to get excited about.
I'm going to need a place to stay, so I'm hoping that you guys can.
Well, for a certain number of Stanley Cups, I think we can make that work.
Deal. Well, you know what season it is? Not just winter, but it's also Oscar season.
That's what I thought you were going for.
And we have our nominees, and of course, Oppenheimer is nominated for pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. It's going to win them all. Mm-hmm. But before we dive into today's topic, I thought we'd do maybe just a little bit of Oscar trivia.
Oh, okay.
All right. So just 3 questions. Not too hard, but I just want to see, sort of ease folks into this into what we're going to be talking about today.
I'm stretching. I'm getting limber. All right, let's do this.
All right. In 1999, in a controversial Best Picture win, Shakespeare in Love beat what film?
I good grief, I should know this. Shakespeare in Love beat 1999.
I thought this would be an easy one.
It should be an easy one because I just had a conversation about this with somebody else, and my brain is totally flaking on this. 99, crap, I don't remember.
Saving Private Ryan.
Was that 99?
Yes.
Oh, good grief. Yeah, that's shameful.
All right. Question number 2. In 1991, Kevin Costner and Martin Scorsese were both nominated for Best Director, Dances with Wolves and Goodfellas, respectively. Between those two, who won?
Costner.
You are correct. That was an easier one.
Yeah,
because if you follow Scorsese, you know he did not win.
Not until Departed.
Until The Departed.
Which is not a great film.
Not a great film, and certainly not as good as Goodfellas.
No.
All right, the last question here. In 1983, who did not win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, even though he should have? He wasn't even nominated.
Who are you? I don't know. Who are you thinking about?
Well, it's Rutger Hauer for Blade Runner.
By Jove, that's what we're talking about
That's what
today.
we're talking about today is, before you, do you know who won?
No, I don't.
Instead, Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh.
For Officer and a Gentleman, not for Iron Eagle, but for Officer and a Gentleman.
I could have accepted Iron Eagle.
Yeah, so 1983, of course, Blade Runner came out in 82,
Yeah.
but in 83.
Yep.
Today, Rutger Hauer, right? So for people who know him, maybe, he's an actor. For those who don't know him, it's like a collection of letters that we're like, did you make that up? Like
Rutger's not a
Hauer?
real name.
No, is that like a watch brand? A Rutger Hauer watch? No, today we're going to talk about not Rutger Hauer. So I don't know the whole episode of Rutger Hauer, although we will be part of it. But actors who should have been bigger,
Yes.
actors or actresses, or actors in a non-gender specific way, that
Exactly.
should have been bigger, but for some reason weren't. We're going to explore those, maybe talk about why they weren't. And, you and I have brought our own to the table, but we have agreed on one.
Yes.
And that is Mr.
Mr. Hauer.
Mr. Hauer, who in 1982 was in the movie Blade Runner, where he played
Roy Batty.
and
Fantastic.
was the role of his career.
Yeah.
And he never reached highs like that again. And so I thought we could, we'll just talk through, how Rutger got there. And why, what the trajectory of his career looked like after that role.
Yeah.
And how he got. So I've got a little bit about his background here. If you don't mind, I'll talk a little bit about it.
Please.
First of all, he was a big deal in the Netherlands. He starred in several early Paul Verhoeven films. In 1981, just before really going and making it big in America, where his first real big American film was in Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone. But in 1981 in the Netherlands, he won an award called the Golden Calf for his body of work, which is kind of like an Oscar in the Netherlands, and a body of work, kind of like a lifetime achievement type thing. So he was a big deal in the Netherlands. And then he came to America, Nighthawks. Then he got his big break in Ridley Scott's 1982 science fiction film Blade Runner, where he starred opposite Harrison Ford as a synthetic human, an android. That's what they call him, right? No, replicant.
Replicant.
What's wrong with me? A replicant.
Okay.
And not a robot, but an actually genetic engineered human who is trying to extend his own life. Where he was the antagonist, but I've never really considered him a villain.
No, and this is not the Blade Runner podcast, so I'm not going to go deep into my thoughts there. But part of the whole reason that, to me, Blade Runner is so successful and works as well as it does, it's because Roy Batty, the villain, is the human character of the movie. And I won't say any more than that. If you've seen the movie, and if you haven't, then I recommend you see the movie.
His motivation is he wants more life. That's
Exactly. He
had a 5-year life,
and even
he wants more.
Even in the performance, Harrison Ford is very stiff and wooden, and that's not criticism. I mean, Harrison Ford is doing fantastic in that role,
right,
and he's bringing exactly what that role needs. But Batty is warm and charming and energetic and interesting, and
when he's not poking people's eyes out.
I think all of those adjectives I just used still applies.
It's true.
I don't know why you singled that out. Anyway, so I mean, Blade Runner is a phenomenal movie. It's in our last episode of the podcast, I told a story about my grandmother's house. I'll tell this story about my grandmother's house now, which was at one point I was there waiting to go to school, and they were advertising like the afternoon movie. And they showed a trailer for Blade Runner. That was the Fox 2 p.m. movie that day.
It was on a lot.
It
at
really,
Fox
yeah,
2 p.m.,
it really was, which was bizarre.
That and
but
Dune.
Was Dune on Fox?
Dune was
Okay.
on there, yes.
Wow. All right. But so I saw this trailer for Blade Runner very young, like 7 or 8 years old. And I was like, I got to see that. So I faked being sick and stayed at my grandmother's house that day and watched Blade Runner. My parents don't know that story. This is the first time they're hearing of that. But that was my introduction to Blade Runner. I had no idea what was going on in the movie, but I was captivated.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day my absolute favorite film. And Rutger Hauer is amazing in this
the best
movie.
performance in the movie.
It's
and he's
so
in a movie
good.
with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I think what makes it even more impressive is that he has a scene in the movie where he gives this incredible, powerful speech about his life and about how his life, was going to be lost and forgotten. And Rutger Hauer wrote that. It was not in the script. It was not in the source material, which was a book by Philip K. Dick. He just wrote that. So not only was the guy a great actor, but he had some art to him, some poet. He was a poet.
Yeah. And thankfully Ridley Scott recognized this is better than anything else in the script.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And he went with it. Very wise of Ridley. An iconic role, and the pinnacle of his career.
Yeah.
And really, the question is. What came after? Why didn't he get bigger? Because he should have been, right? And
He absolutely should have been. So I'll even back up a little bit, and I'll say that before Blade Runner, Nighthawks is a dang good movie.
I don't remember it.
It's solid. Like, and it gets a bad rap because it's Stallone. It's a dramatic role. He's got a beard, which he's never had except for that one scene in Rocky. So, Nighthawks, like when I was growing up, like that was a black sheep kind of movie. Like people didn't like Nighthawks. And I finally watched it one day and I was like, that was a really good movie. I don't know why people are down on it. And Hauer is also amazing in that movie. So then going from there to Blade Runner, and then he had a few other notable films,
Hitcher
but
and Lady Hawk are the two big ones that are after that.
so I don't even know if I would call Hitcher a big one.
Yeah. I mean, it was well known for
Right.
being a scary movie,
Right.
and he was a very effective, bad scary guy.
Yeah, but I would put that in the same vein as Blind
Fury.
Blind Fury.
Yeah.
Which
Which
is
came a few years later, 89.
right.
Yeah.
But there's several same kind of level of film quality, budget level, that kind of thing. Lady Hawk was a big movie.
It was.
And he was in it, and it's a fine movie, and it's
Really?
a fine performance.
I don't like that movie. I mean, I'm saying it's
As
he's fine, but it's not my. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
As a fantasy film.
Yeah.
Which there's not that many. Frankly, it's not a genre that you see in film a lot. As a fantasy film, it's good. I like it. It's fine. I'm not watching it repeatedly, but I'm 99% sure I have a copy of it. So, I like it. I think Hauer's great in the film. He is an actor that has so much presence that, like, him just standing there in the scene is enough for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. What's this movie about? Let me watch it. But Blade Runner was the peak, no question. And even though I'm defending Lady Hawk, it's a far cry from Blade Runner. Don't get me wrong.
And then, after a Lady Hawk, he goes into this sort of B movie type cycle. Blind Fury, and then Omega Doom, split second, which I'm sure you remember, where he's fighting a monster in flooded London,
which we watched purely because Rutger Hauer was in it.
Purely because of Rutger Hauer, and Omega Doom, which is another one that definitely remember that. I believe he plays a robot in that, and then he was in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Oh, that's
where he
right.
played the vampire. Yeah. And then Fatherland, the HBO film, the alternate history, where he plays a Nazi. Yeah. He was not afraid to take on, sort of challenging and controversial roles. I mean, and then, a few years pass, and then he gets a little bit of another nod at an opportunity to be a name again, which was when Nolan cast him as I can't remember the character's name and I didn't jot it down, but in Batman Begins he plays the president of Wayne Enterprises, who runs the company while Bruce is off learning to be Batman. where he plays a bad guy trying to take the company, and it's
and he's still cool.
he's still cool. And he's a good performance in a great movie. Thank you, Nolan, for giving him a shot like that. Really, I mean, really smart casting.
Yeah.
Nolan just casts very well, always. And then he went in the Netherlands. He won another Golden Calf Award for his body of work again, like another lifetime achievement. Maybe they should stop giving him an award named after the idol that the Israelites put together while Moses was up getting the Ten Commandments. But they did a Hobo with a Shotgun. He did some other smaller things. I've never watched Hobo with a Shotgun. It doesn't look like my kind of movie, but
No, I haven't seen it either. I was surprised at how popular it was when it came out. I mean, it did some.
Oh, it did.
It moved the needle.
It was
a little
that
bit.
Grindhouse era where the movie Grindhouse by Quentin Tarantino, and it captured the zeitgeist, and also kind of has a clever name, a hobo with a shotgun in the poster where his eyes are all bloodshot, and he plays, by the way, the hobo that has the shotgun.
Yes, the titular hobo.
Yes, and I never, like I said, never watched it because it just is like, I always thought that Rutger was above that. Of course, he was also in Omega Doom and Split Second.
Right.
Those were really bad B movies.
I think it's humorous that we saw Split Second and Omega Doom, and we're like passing on Hobo with a shotgun.
Right. Split Second is a bad. It's a pretty bad movie. Riff Tracks, our friends, our friends, like I know them. I'm a huge fan of Riff Tracks, the modern incarnation of Mystery Science Theater. They did Split Second. It's a great. I was watching it a few nights ago, actually, as I was kind of preparing for this. Well, I'll watch a Rutger Hauer movie, but I'll watch it with Mike Nelson and listen to some funny stuff. And I kind of found myself like paying attention to the story because I remember it so well, and the jokes are great too. But yeah, he was a great actor, great presence, but just didn't, after the big hit, after his big splash with Blade Runner, where he was not nominated for an Academy Award, that movie was not appreciated in its time, right? It became a cult classic, but it was recognized later, and it was not, in the moment, it was just probably considered like a B movie almost a little bit.
And what's surprising though is even when it kind of developed its cult status and started getting a following, you never had a career renaissance for Rutger Hauer, and you would have thought that maybe that would have been in the cards or something like that. But, it is a strange occurrence that this man did not become a huge, huge star that's in everything to the point where, it's on par with like a Harrison Ford.
Let's talk about it. Why do you think he did not become? Because I have a couple ideas. He didn't age great.
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think he still looked good in Batman Begins. I mean, he was old, sure. But he always had that kind of menacing, chiseled features, and I don't think that would have stopped him from becoming huge. Like it might have limited the roles he could play.
It limited the roles,
but
like a Split Second, which was I think 12 years after Blade Runner. He was, kind of out of shape,
maybe,
and he just did not look great, right? And whereas Tom Cruise 12 years out from Top Gun looked like Tom Cruise, whereas Rutger Hauer had actually aged.
And then 40 years out from Top Gun, still looks
basically
like Tom
looks
Cruise.
the same. Yeah. And I think he also got typecast into the sci-fi stuff and played into that. But I think here's what it is, the crux of it. They kept giving him the golden calf, and he angered God. And that is why Rutger Hauer.
That was it.
That was
Okay.
it. You stop giving him that award,
well,
and he would have had a better career.
I mean, he could have rejected it, I suppose.
I guess he could have. Then they would have given him the Baal Award, Lifetime Achievement in Idol Worship, to Rutger Hauer. I think that's what it was. I mean, truly, I think that he made God mad.
Maybe.
And
I'm not going to judge that one. I don't know how that one shook out. So.
No, why do you think? What was it? What kept him from being the big star that we thought that he should have been?
So here are my two theories. My first theory is Nighthawks and Blade Runner were the first two instances that American audiences saw him, and he was the villain in both.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of hurt him. And I think now when you think about movies, nobody's thinking in those terms. They're just thinking about, oh, he gave a great performance, you know, like that sort of thing. But I think back in the early 80s, late 70s, you know, people saw villains and heroes as heroes, and there wasn't a lot of cross there. So I think that because he did two villains back to back, that was part of what typecast him, maybe less in the science fiction genre, but more in just the people look at this guy like he's a bad dude kind of a thing. And then the other idea is not everybody gets to be the big star.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a few roles per year in Hollywood. There was even less back then because you had your 3 network channels and then you had movies, and they weren't making as many movies as they do now. So, you know, when you've got the Harrison Fords and the Tom Cruises who was coming up there, and you know, you've got the Stallones and the Schwarzeneggers, is there room for Hauer? I wish there had been, but maybe there just wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's not use that excuse for all of these, though. That does take the fun out of it.
I know. And actually, for my other two, I have different reasons or different theories as to why. Well,
all of my picks are Golden Calf Award winners. So
well, now that gives credence to your theory. I didn't realize that.
So that was our shared choice, right? The one we both had a conviction about, and we wanted to really talk about that. But we also have a couple of our own individual choices that we don't know about, so they'll be surprised. So why don't you hit us with the next one?
Okay, I'm going to hit you with my next one, and I'm going to try not to get super excited because I genuinely think this guy is an amazing actor, and that is Brad Dourif. Didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, so stay with me on this. Brad Dourif, his first Hollywood role was Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. He steals every scene in that movie from Jack Nicholson. He is amazing in that movie. He plays possibly the most damaged individual in the movie, except for Nurse Ratched. He embodies that character so much. I mean, Brad Dourif is one of these people that disappears in all of the roles that he takes on, and he was just phenomenal in that movie. And why he didn't go from One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest, which was a massive film that everybody remembers as a classic, why he didn't go from that into a sprawling Hollywood career is just baffling to me, because he is truly, truly amazing. Since then, he's only had small roles, with the exception of being the physical Chucky who then gets possessed into the doll and does the Chucky voice through the whole thing. That's him. That's Brad Dourif. Yeah. Okay. Also, he was the Mentat Piter de Vries in David Lynch's Dune.
Okay. Yes.
You know, he was in Mississippi Burning, which he plays a completely despicable character in that film, but he plays it so well. You know, he was in Deadwood, fantastic role. He was in Alien Resurrection. So, you know, I'm not coming up with really big movies that this guy's been in, right? Probably the biggest movie that he's been in since One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where he plays Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah.
But I just think that this guy's a phenomenal actor, and he gives 100% of himself, even when the movie probably doesn't deserve 100% of him. You know, I mean, he's also done a lot of TV.
Like Alien Resurrection.
Like Alien Resurrection is a good example. But he's so cool in that role. And you can go to YouTube and you can search for Brad Dourif Alien Resurrection, and you'll get the scene where he's trying to train the alien, like, to behave. Phenomenal acting. I mean, I really can't stress this enough, even to the point where I had a friend once who was a friend and also somebody that I'd worked with who produced independent films. And before I met him, he had produced a film called Junkyard Dog, which Brad Dourif is in. And he was telling me about this film that he made called Junkyard Dog with Brad Dourif. And I just went crazy. I was like, Brad Dourif, I love that guy. I think he's an amazing actor. Tell me all of your Brad Dourif stories. And I was so overexcited that he thought I was making fun of him.
Oh,
nice. So for the rest of our friendship, I could not convince him that I genuinely think Brad Dourif.
Sarcastic.
Yeah, he thought I was being sarcastic, but I genuinely think Brad Dourif is
Brad
a
Dourif,
super
I love
good
that guy.
It wasn't like that at all. I think he's an amazing actor, and I don't know. I mean, he certainly falls into the category of a character actor.
Yeah.
Like, he's not your leading man type. But my goodness, look at everything. YouTube the clip from Deadwood where he plays the doctor, and he's there's this really well-known scene from Deadwood, which is not a show that I'm a fan of, but Brad Dourif in that show is amazing. Look for that clip on YouTube, it's stunning in his acting ability.
I've not watched Deadwood. I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out. I've only heard good things. It's
Yeah.
just for whatever reason.
I'm just a massive fan of Brad Dourif. He was great in the X-Files. He was great in Babylon 5. You know, he's got a ton of these one-off, like, just episode things that he's done. And every time I see him, I'm just like, this guy can act.
You know, for half a second when you said Brad Dourif, I thought you meant Steven Dorff.
No,
In my
no.
mind, I was like, "What? The guy from Blade?"
No.
And then I would recenter
Yeah,
myself.
no,
Are they
Brad
related?
Dourif. I don't think so.
Okay. Steven Dorff's like 2 foot tall. I mean, he's
Right.
a hobbit-sized man.
But no, Brad Dourif's phenomenal. He's such a good actor. He needs to be in more stuff. I will be president of the Brad Dourif fan club if he'll have me. So
He's still alive.
yes, he is.
Okay.
And he's still doing the voice of Chucky. So anytime they do a new Child's Play, you know, he's
Brad
still.
Dourif's got to eat.
There you go. There you go. He does. He's done a ton of B movie like horror stuff. When he did the first Child's Play, I think he kind of got trapped in that for a little while. But he's such a good actor. And just look at Wormtongue in Two Towers.
Oh yeah, that's
so good.
Yes,
So good.
Mysterious character. You want to know more. You want that Grima Wormtongue prequel where
Well,
no, really,
I do. I don't know if anyone else does.
because like this is an interesting
Yeah.
guy. He's got
Well, and he does so much in such a small role. You know, I mean, he creeps you out to the max in that. Even
Yes.
when they just make that one line and he looks at the girl who's
Yes.
Eowyn.
Eowyn.
When he looks at Eowyn and I mean, with just that look, you know everything that you need to know about
yes,
these
yeah.
people. He's such a good actor.
Yeah. And is Peter de Veers in
Yep.
in the original Dune, David Lynch. Interesting, David Dashmalin, played Peter de Veers in the new Dune.
Yeah.
They're pretty similar,
Yeah,
actually. There's some similar look about them.
Yeah,
and,
I feel like Dennis Villeneuve was like, we should just get Brad Dourif, and somebody was like, we can't do that.
is that how you say Dennis?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I thought I would do it with confidence, and people would believe
I
me.
have no idea. I just say the guy who directed Dune and Arrival, I think, and yeah. No, that's an interesting choice. I
Yeah.
would have never thought about that.
When we came up with this topic, first thought I had was Brad Dourif,
Brad
because
Dourif.
I'm just a massive Brad Dourif fan.
Well, I prefer Steven Dorff.
Well,
I think I made that clear. No,
we're gonna disagree.
That's a really. I mean, I'm familiar with him. He disappears into his roles.
Oh,
Could
totally.
that be it?
Yes.
Could that be the reason why it was that he was almost a non-entity because
So-
he just fell into the
Right.
characters?
Yeah, you lose him. I do think that contributes to it. I also and you've used this excuse in past episodes. I'm not a fan of this excuse, but he's not a very pretty person.
Yeah.
So I think that hurt him. Certainly, like I said, he's a character actor. And that was always going to be his bread and butter. But there are tons of character actors that have gotten, way more work than Brad Dourif has. I tried to look up some information. There's not a lot out there. I wonder if it's just him being choosy. He's like, no, I don't need to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But man, and Billy Bibbit, that role, he's so good in that role, and and it was well recognized for that role, and why that didn't turn into just Hollywood beating down his door, and it being one of those types of characters where you mentioned Brad Dourif, he was like, gosh, he's in everything. Like that could have been his life, and I think it's a shame that wasn't his life.
Interesting. Well, that's a left field choice. Was not expecting that.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could surprise you.
All right. Well, mine's next one is Steven Dorff. No, I'm just gonna keep saying that. I have a question for you for my next one.
Sure.
You ready for me to go on?
I am.
What's the best performance in the movie Tombstone?
My gut reaction is Val Kilmer.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
What's the second best performance?
The second best performance? Gosh, they're so. I would give it to Stephen Lang. I think he's the second best performance in Tombstone.
Really?
Yeah, I dig Ike Clanton.
All right.
But there's no wrong answer to this question.
Well,
in my
think
opinion.
That, yeah. I would say Johnny Ringo, Michael Bain.
Oh, he's good. He's fantastic. Yeah,
And I think Michael Bain is my
Yeah.
next choice.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Michael Bain a bigger deal?
it's a good question.
And Michael Bain, right? So kind of does dissolve into it. Michael Bain was Kyle Reese
Yeah,
in
Terminator.
Terminator. Michael Bain was Corporal Hicks in Aliens.
Yep.
Michael Bain was Lieutenant Coffey in The Abyss.
Mhm.
All James Cameron movies, right? So Michael Bain was a great actor, had leading man looks and charisma, and had those roles with Cameron. And then those were three early and big roles, and then he did Johnny Ringo in Tombstone, which was a great, huge role.
Yeah.
But they were all, more supporting, right? And Johnny Ringo was a villain. Coffey was a villain. Reese and Hicks were heroes in the movie, and they were the most interesting characters in those movies, in Terminator and Alien, respectively. But Michael Biehn, after that, just kind of fell off, right? He was in The Rock. He had a very small role in The Rock where he played the leader of a Navy SEAL force that went in to try to get the sarin gas, and we were all cut down. But other than after that, he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Was in a few things, lower budget, small things. He was in The Art of War with Wesley Snipes. He was in Mandalorian season 2. He had a small role. He was in The Walking Dead. I don't remember what he was in Mandalorian season 2. I mean, I remember he was something.
I don't remember that either.
And then he was in The Walking Dead. He was in the one episode. He played a bad guy. Actually, very effective, very chilling bad guy. He was the leader of the small group of people in an apartment building. He was a vicious killer. But then he just. His career just fell off in the 90s after in the 80s being part of Cameron's crew. His normal in fact, I don't think anyone reoccurred as much as him. He was in the big 3 80s Cameron movies, and then Tombstone, which was fantastic, right? Should have cemented him. Obviously Kilmer was the best performance, but then I really do think that Johnny Ringo was fantastic. So interesting.
No, that's absolutely fair.
And Lang was good. Powers Booth was good, or Booth Powers, whatever. Either way, he answered to both.
Everyone's good.
Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, right? To me, I've never understood why wasn't this guy? He's a better actor than, say, for example, Kiefer Sutherland, right? I think he's a way better actor than Kiefer Sutherland. Why did Kiefer Sutherland have a huge career and Michael Biehn didn't? And I've never understood that. And
maybe after Johnny Ringo, he's like, I've done it. I've done all I can do. I've made my mark.
Well, actually, in the 90s after Tombstone, he fell into alcoholism because his career had declined. So I don't think that was it.
That's
I really
terrible.
don't think that was it. No, it's awful. I'm not making a joke about it. That was part of it, right? It was part of that kind of fed off of it, right? His career was in decline, fell into alcoholism, it declined further, and he did pull out of that in the 2000s, and so but he never established his career beyond that. Man, such a great actor.
Yeah, really, really is.
And unfortunately, his body work is not big enough, right?
No.
It's smaller than Rutger Hauer's.
So no Golden Calf Award, is that what you're saying?
No Golden Calf Award. No.
Do you may not have looked this up, and if not, I apologize. But do you know what his most recent film it was?
I don't know film-wise. I mean, The Walking Dead, I think, was his last TV, because he was in 2022. He appeared in the last season of Walking Dead, but I think that was it.
Yeah. Oh, but you're right. I mean, good actor. Really neat dude. I mean, all the roles that he has played, they're memorable roles. And Johnny Ringo is just
great. Kyle Reese is a great role.
Yeah, it really is. And he's, I've always been one of those rare fans that like the first Terminator more than the second Terminator.
Yes.
And it's because of Kyle Reese. It's because of Michael Biehn.
It's because of Kyle Reese, also because of the palpable sense of tension.
Yes.
Right? You're actually scared of the Terminator. He's not a joke. He's not like, hasta la vista, the jokiness that he becomes in the PG-13 second movie. But Kyle Reese is a great character. He's you can feel the grit. You can feel the desperation that he's seen things.
And Aliens is my favorite of the Alien movies.
Alien, I still have a strong preference.
I like the
Truckers in Space.
Yeah.
I like the second one, don't get me wrong.
I'm more into War in Space for that series.
I like the atmosphere of that first one, but...
part of my problem with the first was it scares me too much.
It is a very scary movie, right? And it did that in space, and it was...
but yeah, Michael Bihn's great choice. I'm very saddened to hear about the alcoholism.
Yeah,
I hope he's doing better.
From what I was able to glean from my research, that yes, he has, but it just never got back the career. And I would have thought after Tombstone, man,
Yeah.
he should have taken off.
Absolutely right.
I think the movie he did directly after Tombstone a few years later was The Art of War with Wesley Snipes, right? And then Wesley Snipes went on to do Prison for tax evasion after that. So.
That was also the period where Wesley Snipes was in everything.
He was
like
in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, every other movie that hit box office, Wesley Snipes was in. But yeah, I mean, man, I'll go on record and say, two middle-aged guys, we want Michael Biehn in more movies.
Yes.
So let's have that revival. Of that
in
career.
T-Mag the movie,
We'll cast
Michael Biehn. Yeah, he could be he could play your dad.
reading
Stephen King. I was gonna say, just reading Stephen King, listening to Elvis.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. Brad Dourif can play your dad.
Yeah. That would be very interesting. Sure, let's do it. Yeah, that's my next choice. Unfortunately, the body of work is small, so there's not a lot to talk about. But I was very confident that this should have been bigger. This great actor, why didn't he get more exposure?
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so my next one I think is going to be a surprise to you as well. And I picked this guy. I thought long and hard about this one, but I wanted to pick someone who was still young enough in their career that maybe we can turn this around a little bit, and maybe we can get him in more stuff. And also, I thought about taking him off the list because in between prep and recording this episode, he was nominated for an Oscar. So maybe his day is coming.
Robert De Niro.
It was not Robert De Niro. It was, in fact, a gentleman named Sterling K. Brown.
Oh, yes, Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah.
This Is Us.
This Is Us, exactly. Yeah. I think he's a tremendous actor. I mean, I've loved him in everything he's in, and he is most known for This Is Us, which is, I've not watched the show start to finish because I don't like crying.
Yeah, and you will. We watched most of it. We skipped a couple seasons because it got it just got repetitive.
Well, yeah,
but we watched a lot of it.
And when I say I don't like crying, I mean me. I'm not talking about
that's what I meant.
The actors
you'll weep every episode, and
right?
Beating a tear out of you like Barbara Walters.
But what I have seen of This Is Us, I mean, every scene Sterling K. Brown is in, remarkable actor. But where he actually came on my radio.
Your radio. Were you hearing Sterling K. Brown's voice?
That's why I'm such a fan.
Yeah.
No, where he came on my radar was HBO did this one-off revival of a single episode of The West Wing, where they kind of did it as like a stage play. It was a very weird thing for HBO to do. But my wife and I are massive fans of West Wing, and we've probably watched the show 6 or 7 times all the way through. We just love that show to death. And one of the characters in the show, named Leo McGarry, was played by John Spencer, is the gentleman's name who played him. He passed away, unfortunately. So when HBO did this revival, they cast Sterling K. Brown as Leo McGarry. And so those were some big shoes to fill. And Sterling K. Brown came on the stage and just commanded it. And he took this role and made it simultaneously honor the Leo McGarry from the show, but also become his own thing. I mean, it was really a stellar performance. And so ever since then, I've been following this actor, and he's been in a couple of other things. You know, he was in Black Panther. He was phenomenal in Black Panther.
Played the brother of the king.
Yep, he did. Who, well, we won't go into spoilers, but great. I love Black Panther.
The movie's been out for several years. But
I want to be careful. I think Black Panther's a great movie.
It is.
And I really enjoyed Sterling K. Brown in that. He was in a couple of episodes of The Marvelous Miss Maisel. He did a lot of just single episodes of TV shows. And frankly, he should be in everything. I'm just going to say it that way.
He was in a movie we saw, my wife, Mary, and I saw in the theaters. It was terrible. But it was a movie about remember that movie Bad Times at the El Royale Motel or something?
No.
But there was another movie that came out around the same time. It was one of those like twin movie situations. There was another one where it was like the hitmen are all hanging out at a hotel and he's a hitman, and it's got Charlie Day in it from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's
okay.
Terrible.
Not a good one. Okay.
Yeah. Well. Sterling K. Brown is a great actor. Interestingly enough, Justin Hartley from This Is Us is another really good actor who I don't know how he hasn't ended up in like a Marvel or DC movie as well.
Right. But, and even going from a very successful TV show to a Marvel movie, you would still think explosion. Like, this guy is just a powder keg waiting to go off. and he was in American Fiction, which is what he got the Best Supporting Actor nod for. So maybe his day is coming, and maybe he's going to explode. But I think he should be a leading man. I think he should be in everything. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah. I worry that as long as he was on This Is Us and the role that he played, that he could be typecast as that sort of, wise, thoughtful, neurotic, professional, right? That he could kind of fall into that.
He was on Seth Meyers' show just 2 days ago or something like that, and he actually mentioned that he was like in the new movie American Fiction, he got to break out of that, and he got to be kind of the guy that everybody else had to take care of instead of the guy that was doing the caretaking. So yeah, I think you're right, and also I think anytime you're on, you're a main character in a successful TV show. I mean, that's a scheduling nightmare to break away and to do a film. So I'm sure that played into it as well. So maybe this is the year he'll win the Oscar, and then. When people listen to this episode a year from now, they'll be like, that was a dumb choice, Chris. Why? Sterling K. Brown's the biggest actor in the world, so.
Speaking of breaking out and going a different role, a different direction, he was almost cast as Richard Simmons in the new Richard Simmons biopic, Pauly Shore.
As much as I like Sterling K. Brown, I think they made a good choice.
I think they made a good choice.
Yeah.
I think that he, in a few years, we can come back and he will have become as big as what you're thinking.
I hope so.
I hope so as well. My next one, you're gonna say this person is big. You're gonna be shocked, and I'm gonna say this person should have been the next Pacino, the next De Niro.
Okay,
and that is Andy Garcia.
Yeah, no, and for a while he was on my list. He was
he? Okay.
Yeah, he was on my short list.
Yeah,
he was on my short list for actors for this topic.
Great actor.
Yeah.
Why he should have been Pacino, De Niro big. He Untouchables and Godfather 3. Godfather 3, he was nominated for an Academy Award Best Supporting Actor. He was the best performance in that movie.
Yes.
Vincent Mancini is a great character, and I really like his role, his portrayal. Sort of the honorable mobster type thing. I think he played like a Vito returned almost a little bit, right? A little bit more hot-headed. Got some of the elements of Sonny, but it was a great performance. And I've always liked Andy Garcia, and I've never understood. He got after Godfather 3, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, some other small roles. The Oceans film, he was a big part of all three of those Oceans films. And I really, enjoy, those movies. And I like his role in them. But he was always supporting actor, other than, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, where he was the leading man in a very weird, quirky film that we talked about in our Mob movie episode. It's a great movie. He played, opposite Christopher Walken. It's a great exchange, really fun. But he just never got to be big. And, we have explanations for why some of these haven't made it big. Him, I have no idea.
Yeah.
There's he had the talent, the looks, the charisma. He should have been huge.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's a great actor, and he was one of those people that every time I saw him in a movie, I always thought to myself, "Oh, this is the breakout one. This is the one that's going to start his career," and it never did. So I don't know, and there are, I kind of alluded to this earlier. There are some people that are happy with the smaller career, and maybe he was one of them. I don't know, but as far as chops, as far as deserving big roles, yeah, absolutely. Andy Garcia totally did.
Should have been the next Pacino, the next De Niro. Really, he should have had a career where he got to do comedy, drama. I just
anything he wanted to
do, and I don't understand. I would assume it's not a work ethic thing. I would assume it's not his choice. No explanation for it at all.
No, just one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, talent is not everything, and people want to believe that the talent is everything, or that hard work will make up. There's luck that's involved in all this stuff too, and it's a shame that Garcia wasn't the next Pacino, wasn't the next De Niro, because he's got the skills to do that and to be that. And, think of all the wonderful films we missed out on that could have been Andy Garcia vehicles. We just never got to see him.
Yep. But yeah, no, that's he was my last one. Huge mystery. Huge
right.
mystery.
Well, I've got an also ran if we want to do
I
that.
have one also ran as well, so go ahead.
All right, my also ran is Sam Rockwell.
Yes. Yeah, I like Sam Rockwell.
He's such a good
do.
actor.
He is a good actor. He's so quirky.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the reason why
Maybe.
he's just a little bit
but
off kilter?
But I would argue that he also disappears into his roles, and he can turn off the quirky if he needs to. Like that. I think he gravitates towards that. I think he enjoys that. But you're not guaranteed quirky when you get Sam Rockwell. He can totally act his way in any kind of scenario, and I think he's a great actor. He's so much fun to watch.
Yes, he is.
Just in everything that he's in.
Yep.
And he's done some serious movies. He's done some just flat out comedies, and he's done everything in between. So,
Gentlemen Broncos, our listeners, go check out Gentlemen Broncos from the Hesses, the couple that did Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
He plays two roles, three roles.
It's bizarre. It is a strange movie.
Bizarre, and it is. He plays two roles.
Yeah,
and he is. It's fantastic. I love Sam Rockwell.
I think I'm a bigger fan of this movie than you are, but I thought he was great in Don Verdean, also by the Hesses.
Yeah,
But he's so good in that movie. And Galaxy Quest, he's so good in Galaxy Quest. And the list goes on.
Yeah.
Moon is a serious one.
Yeah,
I think it's a great film.
I think Moon's okay. I think it's a little bit. I think his performance is good. I think there's some issues with the script and in the direction, but his performance is good. I like Sam Rockwell a lot.
Yeah. So he was my also ran.
So my also ran is a favorite of both of ours, Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes, he was on my short list for this too.
And he's David Lynch's one of his crew of recurring actors. But outside of that, he's not in a ton of stuff. He was in The Hidden, which is not a great science fiction movie. He was in Sex and the City, I guess. I don't know. I didn't watch that show, but I know he was a recurring character on that. But no, I mean, if you know Kyle MacLachlan, you know that I think his most famous role is as Dale Cooper, Agent Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks, where he was, just a great performance of a great character. And at some point we'll talk more about that particular role. But he's he was a very good actor. Did other things like Blue Velvet. Was a really great performance in Blue Velvet, a very strange film. Of course, he was, the original Paul Atreides in Dune. I enjoy anything with Mr. MacLachlan in it.
He's great. And very recently he was in Portlandia as the mayor of Portland.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I like Portlandia. I haven't watched it in years. Is it still going on?
No,
Are they still making? Okay.
No, it finished.
Okay.
7 or 8 seasons.
All right.
I can't remember.
Wow.
But Kyle MacLachlan's great. He's and again a very leading man kind of look to him, and surprised nobody. I don't know if they couldn't see past the Lynch films or what.
I don't know.
But he could have been great. He could have been in tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he had the talent. He got, I think, his role of a lifetime in Dale Cooper.
And I think he would agree with that. So I like we can talk about people in this category and can picture them being like, oh, I never got my shot. I think MacLachlan's pretty comfortable where he is. And
sure.
I think he looks at Dale Cooper as that's the role, kind of the way Mark Hamill looks at Luke Skywalker is that's the role, and I'm happy. So good for him. But anyway, you know what I think we figured out today, Dave?
Well, Stephen Dorff is a great actor.
No, it's Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif
is the great actor.
It's Brad Dourif.
Yes.
It's Stephen Dorff.
Yes.
Right, like Dorff
true.
On golf.
Yeah.
And he's about the same height as Tim Conway's Dorff on golf. All the kids are like, oh man, he brought it up, Dorff on golf. All of our young listeners, the teenage crowd, just been waiting, like, oh, finally a Dorff on golf reference.
Our podcast numbers are going to shoot through the roof. Yeah. That's fantastic. I've been waiting for a Dorff on golf reference. But no, what I think we learned today is that we can talk about pop culture things in a completely positive light.
Yeah.
That we looked at all these people, they the work
Except
that they
for
did.
idol worship.
Well, okay.
The golden calf.
I was saying about the individuals.
Okay, yes.
That they had tremendous roles, that they're phenomenal actors, that we wish they had been in more, which I find refreshing, as opposed to being like, this movie's terrible and I hate the world, which is what I see everywhere else, and it makes me tired. So I was happy that we could do this episode. I was happy we could bring light to some of these people and just gush over some people that we genuinely like.
And join us next episode for overrated actors that we hate. No, I agree, right? This was a very positive, and I know Michael Baine's listening.
I hope so.
And if Michael Baine wanted to reach out to us, all he has to do is go to middleageguys.com, the numeral 2, middleageguys.com. And he'll find an opportunity to email us. He'll see all of our episodes. I wrote some words that almost form cogent thoughts he could read if he was so interested. You can also check us out on Facebook. We're on X. Don't do much on X, but we're there. And he could reach out to us, and maybe he could tell us. He'd be like, first of all, I'm not an alcoholic. That Wikipedia entry was a joke. My brother-in-law did that. Stop that. And then a cease and desist letter would be attached to the email.
Yes. He's welcome to come on the podcast and set the record straight. We will give him part of our platform to help bolster his career. I'd love to see him in more movies.
Remember that time you were in Terminator? That's why I could say that, like Chris Farley. And
yeah.
Like, yes, I remember that. That
was really cool.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Remember that time you were in Tombstone? I really like that.
Did you? Yeah. Did Val Kilmer shoot you? What?
I think we could interview a little better than that.
I'm sure we can come up with something better.
But not much.
I would say, was that mustache real? That is a question I would say. Was that mustache real?
Yeah, I mean, people want to know. So, hard-hitting question. Yeah. All right.
That was it.
Yes, Dave. Until next time, my friend.